ahead, but with 20 minutes left, Chile's goalkeeper was apparently struck by a firework. The whole team went off, leaving FIFA to decide when they get the referee's report. As for the holders, Argentina wait for news from Naples. Will Maradona play in Italy next summer? Come to that, will he play there this winter?
We can bring the qualification story right up to date. I'm afraid Wales are out of the World Cup. They've been beaten in Finland today by 1-0. Lipponen was the scorer for Finland in the second half. Finland won, Wales 0, and that's goodbye to their World Cup qualification hopes. All the home countries, of course, are playing today, and we'll have the other scores when we can bring them to you. But in Stockholm, it's Sweden 0, England 0, and most of those incidents happening right towards the end of that first half, Terry. Linacre's had a reasonably quiet first half, probably for the reasons you mentioned earlier, but that good scoring chance towards the end there.
It was a fair chance, but I thought he couldn't have done much better with it. I thought it was an exceptional save. I mean, it's a situation where he's got 1v1 Barnsley, and we expect him to take him on, and he doesn't even bother. It's a great early ball in the position of Larsson. I don't know where he is on the wrong side, and Gary does excellent to keep it down from that position, and there was a good save.
Wasn't it a good save? What a pity.
Mm.
But there was a,
yeah.
Pity for Linacre too. But and what a good save at the other end after that, Jim, by Shilton.
Yes, it was. In fact, I would say it was the better save of the two. I mean, that one, having had a look at the second time, was a bit closer to the keeper than we thought when we saw it. But if you look at this one, at the end of quite a lot of football which is coming up now before Shilton gets the chance to save England. There's a good run you see there from Nielsen actually, who's in that position, and the defence is back covering, but you can see that was a good tackle, but it didn't finally win the ball. A recovery of Nielsen, plenty of determination. There's the deflection. Whip to the right, and he got his right hand to it, and luckily just got it back to his defender. So, I mean, we did see that in the game from an angle behind the goal, which showed what a superb save it was. And you're never too old to be England's goalkeepers.
Clearly not. Yeah. Well, overall, Terry, are you quite content with that England display in the first half?
Yeah, I think so. If we can end up with the same score at the end, I think we'll be quite happy with that.
Mm. Brian, how do you feel about it? Do you think sort of England will sort of try and settle down and keep the game a draw? I mean, a draw suits England better than it does Sweden, doesn't it?
No, our lads, though, they'll not sit in the dressing room talking about a draw. You know, they'll be looking to play balls for Gary and that, to get through them and try and score a goal ourselves. Mm. But to me, you know, we deserved that save from Peter anyway, because we'd had no trouble all the way through the game until the last minute there. And even then, two of the lads have made really good tackles, and the balls ran nice and kindly for the Swedish lad to get his strike in. So, you know, we deserve Peter having that save.
There would have been a fair bit of good fortune about that had it gone in for Sweden,
that's right, after two tackles like the lads made.
Yeah. Let's go through one or two of the other incidents that happened. Early on, Terry Linacre had a little bit of a go, didn't he? Do you remember this one?
Yes, he made a terrific run. It's similar to one we see earlier against Poland, where he runs away from where he wants to go to, and the ball's knocked in, and then he's going left, and he gives the fullback a chance to get him because he's having to straighten himself up again. He tries to go more to the right. He just gets enough time, the guy, to make his tackle.
You're defending him there. I think he was slow to wake up at that, and I think he had enough of a start there, Terry, to have made more of that opportunity. I think he'd be disappointed he didn't get a shot in at the end of it.
No, I think that if he was running onto the ball, I think he should have got away from him. I think he's had to wait for the ball, and he's having to straighten himself up.
Isn't it nice to have different opinions about players like that?
If you were
we should never know, of course. Would you want to do a tiebreaker?
Well, if you keep agreeing with each other, it's very boring.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like Terry says, he was going to his left. I thought the only thing, looking at it 4 times over, I thought maybe Gary could have got his left arm out just to hold the lad off maybe a little bit.
John Motson out there wanted to hear what you had to say at half-time about Steve McMahon's performance. You might not get back in the side.
Said he should stay in the team.
I mean, I think he's rubbish and he should be out.
Exactly.
After this game. No, seriously. You know, Steve's done exactly what we talked about before the game. He's an excellent player. I mean, he plays consistently well for Liverpool every week, and he's doing exactly what you think, you know, he would have done. You know, he's had a really good game. In fact, he's probably been England's best player.
Yeah. Had a bit of a go early on as well, didn't he?
I think it's clearly his best international.
Yeah.
I mean, he's made it his ball there by coming in and just acting as if the opponent wasn't there, and with a short space of time to recover, it's a lovely little dipping volley which nearly brought about the goal that would mean so much. But a lot was made of his performance in Israel, you know, on that horrible pitch out there where it had rained all night, and a lot of people said how great he was and, you know, what a genius. I mean, that is the best performance I've seen from Steve McMahon by far at international level. I mean, he's come of age.
So far, you're right under pressure, are you?
No, I'm not. I don't pick the England team, it's all right, but it is.
Just as well, Jim. Just as well.
Just as well. I would
10
pick
other
it.
spaces.
I mean, there's room for any players.
He's a great winger.
There's room for any players of quality in the England side.
Now, what about Terry Butcher here? Because he suffered that injury there in the first half. We'll miss him if he has to come off.
It's a terrible crash here, isn't it?
That was with Ekstrom, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Now, I think John Motson again referred in the commentary there to the sort of injury that that Butcher's had before, facial injury. He had a bad facial injury a while back, Terry, didn't he?
Yes, he did, and our physio, John Sheridan, was involved with that, and he said it was quite frightening. Everybody was really frightened. It just didn't seem to stop, and it seemed to continue and continue, and everybody was in a bit of a panic about it. It's just, but it was good to see it was a lot higher there, that injury, so it's not quite so bad.
That original one was his nose, wasn't it?
It was his nose, yeah.
There's a fair bit of blood around there, wasn't there, on that?
It's a dangerous game, Des.
It's a very dangerous game.
Sitting here and
Looking at the subs, be Parker to come on, wouldn't it, if he had to,
Yes.
he had to go for that second half. Right, that's the England captain for today. Hussein, of course, is the Swedish captain. He had a little effort as well in that first half. Let's remind ourselves of that.
Well, he's very good at corners, where he attacks the ball very fast. He gets across people here again well, and he's a terrific header. It's just as well he couldn't get over it.
Brian, you were saying that there's no way that England would try and close the game up at any stage if it gets to 75 minutes or 80 minutes or something like that?
No, I think we've been in these positions before, you know, and we don't believe in that. I think you allow people to come onto you and put you under more pressure when you play that way. You know, and we've got too many attacking players in the team anyway to sit back and play that game. You know, I think we've still got to play our football and, you know, play our own game.
Time for Gascoigne to come on at some stage, Terry?
Good
question,
eh? It will depend now what their attitude is. If they stay the same, they won't put us under a great deal of pressure. But I'd like to see him come on, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Jim, one line.
Well, I mean, I'm happy with 0-0. I mean, I don't know what they're talking about. 0-0 and we're there. I mean, I don't care what we do with the ball. Apologies to the viewers who want to see a game of football, but we have to get the...
We'd all like to see a few goals there for England, but especially. Let's rejoin our commentary team, Trevor Brooking, John Motson.
Thanks very much, Des. Been listening carefully to what you've been saying there in the studio, and yes, a draw would almost certainly mean England still go to the World Cup. A win would mathematically ensure it, of course, and we're just waiting for the England team to come out, because we'll be relieved, I think, Trevor, to make absolutely sure that Terry Butcher is OK and can continue in the second half.
Well, apart from that, I thought he had an excellent match. Lads back in the studio mentioned Steve McMahon, who I think has played very well, but apart from Steve, I think probably Terry Butcher, being captain, has lifted him as well, and he won a lot of important balls in the air. We're still waiting to see big Terry Butcher come out there as well, aren't we? But it will be a big loss, because really looking at our team, he is the key man for any crosses that come over.
Yes, what just worried me slightly, the reason I paused over it, was that I saw the other England substitutes kicking around on the pitch in the half-time interval, except for Paul Parker, and I just wondered if they'd kept him back in the dressing room as some kind of precaution.
Well, there's one player that's not out on the field, and the only player is at the moment Terry Butcher. We have 10 players out in the dressing room, so they're keeping us in suspense. It's either going to be Terry Butcher or Paul Parker who comes out, and it looks, with great relief, as if with that headband it is Terry Butcher.
Yes, I'm pleased to say that, I mean, Bobby Robson calls Brian Robson Captain Marvel. Well, here we've got Captain Courageous, because with that heavy headband, Terry prepares to lead the side in the second half here in Stockholm. Anybody joining the match late, if you were delayed getting home from work, or you've just tuned in, a good first half by and large for England, and a notable save by each goalkeeper just before the break. England now playing from the right. This is Gary Stevens looking for Gary Linacre. Sweden still have to play Albania here and Poland away in October, and England's last match is in Poland on October the 11th. That's how the group will be concluded. Here's Roland Nielsen for Sweden. Jonas Tern, well challenged by Neil Webb. Now Lineker's in a good position if Beardsley finds him. Great position, and saved by Ravelli. Linacre, saved by Ravelli again, and still Linacre. And goes down and is penalised, and I thought we had it there, Trevor.
Well, it was a real teaser, wasn't it? The ball just was a little bit slow, and Gary Lineker's just got bundled off balance, just tried to toe-end it past Ravelli, who's got that right hand there again, got up and blocked it with his left foot. But Peter Beardsley's pass was just slow, and it just delayed it and gave the opportunity for the Swedish defender, I think, to knock Gary Lineker off balance.
So the second half starts like the first half, with a near thing for England and Gary Lineker in the Swedish penalty area. Ravelli must take some credit again for coming off his line and making a double save, but Lineker timed that run beautifully. Let's hope it's a good sign for what's to come. Just bears out again the feeling that Peter Larsson at number 4 might not be on the top of his game just at the moment. He was the defender that Lineker got ahead of there and held off. Butcher. Young. Peter Larsson, who's been a pretty regular member of that Swedish defence for some years. Number 6 there is Leif Enquist, plays for Malmo, whose manager is an Englishman, Roy Hodgson, who's been over here for 12 years and is about to win his 5th championship with Malmo. Has a great track record out here. Although the problem with Swedish football is many of the top players tend to drift abroad. Here's Neil Webb of Manchester United. On the evidence of last night's under-21 match, the Swedes have got some very talented and technically gifted young players coming through. One of our first division managers, John Sillett, was watching that game. The way transfer fees are going at the moment in our own country, it might be more economic to, and more cost-effective to buy from abroad. That's Pearce to Barnes. And there goes Lineker again. Beardsley moving into the centre, so too is Waddle. But Peter Larsson this time holds his ground against Gary Lineker. 3.5 minutes gone in the second half. Sweden 0, England 0. But England so close to taking the lead. This is Jonas Tern, who's just joined Benfica for a very big fee. Magnusson.
England might not have made that breakthrough in those first few minutes. What it has done is stunned the crowd a little bit, because it's suddenly gone very quiet, and really in a match like this, that's good news.
Yes, the Stockholm public have been looking forward to this match for such a long time. Tickets all went within hours of being put on sale. And Sweden will be staging the next European Championships, by the way, in 1992, so they're very conscious of their reputation in putting on big games, and they've made elaborate security precautions for obvious reasons prior to this one. We've seen no sign of any trouble inside the stadium up to now, but you may have heard earlier there have been incidents in the town centre. McMahon. Here's Linacre. Pearce. There goes Linacre again, and that's a challenge on Roland Nielsen. 5 minutes gone in the second half. I referred at the start to this stadium housing the World Cup final back in 1958. For those whose memories don't go back that far, that was the year that Brazil beat Sweden in the final 5-2. Swedish football was then going through something of a golden period under an Englishman, actually, George Rayner. This modern Swedish side locking horns here with England, and at the moment nothing between them. Joachim Nielsen. Johnny Ekstrom, Roland Nielsen. That's a good strong challenge by Pearce, and a flag up for offside against Magnussen. Mats Magnussen signalling towards the linesman. Pearce, Barnes. Again, he had two men to go past there, John Barnes. They're bottling up these flanks with the midfield player in front of the fullback. That's a challenge by Jonas Tern on Gary Lineker. Webb for England. Enquist. McMahon was a bit late there too, coming in. And Tern had a word with the referee about it. 6.5 minutes into the second half. 0-0. Enquist. Joachim Nielsen. Back to Roger Young at left back. That's number 8, Ingelsson. McMahon, our number 8. Lineker's made a throw. Oh, well played by McMahon. Lineker's to his right, and he didn't quite put enough pace on the ball to reach him. But it was a promising run down the centre of the pitch by this man, Steve McMahon, and just confirming Jimmy Hill's point that this looks very much like his best game so far at full international level. Long ball by Roland Nielsen. And Butcher. Now Waddle. Gary Stevens. Webb. Butcher with Mats Magnussen. Did it well, the England captain there. Pearce forward to Lineker. Webb's making a run, and he's fouled Hussein. Well, they might have been club colleagues, those two, had Hussein gone to Manchester United, but he chose Liverpool. And at £650,000, that looks to me like a bargain, the way this fella plays. And here's a man who cost over £4 million, Chris Waddle. What a good ball to Lineker. He's up against Hussein. That's a foul. Lineker beautifully picked out by Chris Waddle with that through pass. And Hussein was on the wrong foot, and he checked Lineker quite deliberately. As you'll see from this, I fancy. Arms round his waist, really, wasn't it? Free kick to England. Now, if the ball's planted towards the far post, we've got Terry Butcher up. Beardsley is waiting to take the free kick. McMahon has changed his mind. Pearce shoots. Oh, Lineker's in. Pearce comes again. Waddle now for England. The ball's still in play. And Sweden break with Johnny Ekstrom. Well, Stuart Pearce, noted for his left foot shooting at Nottingham Forest, came up to the left of the players on the ball there and hit that one pretty firmly. Again, Ravelli responds well and needed help from two defenders in front of him. But the goalkeeper seems to be having a good night, Trevor.
He does. That was one of those shots, though, that, as I mentioned in training, he does just like to block them. You know, quite a goalkeepers in England would probably be coached to try and hold on to those low ones, but he just blocks them, and the rebound, Gary Lineker nearly pounced on him. England has started the second half very well. Tactically, nothing has changed. Sweden are still tucking in their two wide flank midfield players who are very conscious of Barnes and Waddle. But Steve McMahon again asserted himself. I think it's important to remember, probably this is one of those very important games that he's played in. there's a tendency when you're in the squad and when you do get your opportunities in friendlies, in away games, that perhaps haven't quite got the tension or the importance of a World Cup fixture like this. So this will probably be one of the few opportunities he's had to play in a very important match.
The player who was injured with 10 minutes gone in the second half and no score was the right back for Sweden, Roland Nilsson, who threw himself in to block the rebound there in that scramble. The game restarts with a free kick to Sweden. But goodness me, how close Linacre's been here to putting England ahead. And 3 times now he's been thwarted at the last. Here's Enquist looking for Ingerson. There he is, number 8. Now Jonas Tern, number 7. In the way, Gary Stevens. Now McMahon. Just get the feeling England are finding a bit of space now. This is Webb. Barnes. Oh, well, Barnes has been penalised.
It's good early ball from Neil Webb. John Barnes' first touch let him down, and Roland Nilsson came in with the tackle.
Swedish substitutes you were looking at there. 11.5 minutes gone in the second half here in Stockholm in this important World Cup qualifier. Sweden 0, England 0, but England having the better of things at the moment. Magnusson's header. Joachim Nielsen, Gary Stevens. Now Waddle. And again Linacre starts a run down the right-hand side, and again well picked out by Chris Waddle. Beardsley in the middle, coming short now. Oh, too short. Ball went past him. Well challenged McMahon. Beardsley. Waddle now. Plenty of players in the centre. But the cross far too strong for them. Just this last 5 minutes or so, or since half-time really, Trevor, we do seem to have found more space in and around the Swedish defence than in the first half.
Definitely, and I think those Swedish subs we saw warming up will be really, I think, the fact that Nordin himself, the Swedish manager, will be conscious that England have come out in this second half, taken the initiative, and perhaps he may have to bring on a change, whereas England are sort of growing in confidence, I think.
Well, let's hope we can top it with a goal. 13 minutes gone in the second half. 0-0. Linacre for England, and Waddle beginning to move with purpose now. Gary Stevens is outside him. Oh, and Waddle turning nicely, winning the free kick. Sweden stretch now, beginning to commit fouls in dangerous areas. Butcher, headband and all, has made his way forward. Waddle and Beardsley will orchestrate things out on the right. There are 4 England players in the penalty area. Mats Magnussen had come back. Here's McMahon. Offside Waddle. There's the Swedish coach with the moustache, Ole Nordin. 39 years of age. His team earned a 0-0 draw at Wembley last October, and in this return match, it's 0-0 again so far, with 14 minutes gone in the second half, but a good 14 minutes for England. Here's Joachim Nielsen. Butcher's header. Webb. McMahon. Linacre against Hussein. England yet to concede a goal in this group, by the way. I hope I'm not tempting fate. Over 4.5 matches now, and nobody's broken through against us so far. Here's Butcher. Now, can Linacre flick that on for Waddle? He can. Waddle against Peter Larsson. Support coming up in the centre from Beardsley and Barnes. Waddle's cross. Beardsley with Ravelli. Not a good punch, really, but a foul given. Bit harsh on Peter Beardsley, I thought, Trevor.
Well, sometimes we complain that such referees give too much protection to goalkeepers, and on that occasion, there was no way that it was an unfair challenge. Peter Beardsley, if he did make contact, it was very slight and was really going for the cross, and Ravelli, if anyone, sort of hung out his fist and wasn't too happy about coming out and catching the ball.
We've reached the quarter of an hour point in the second half here in the Rosunda Stadium. A boisterous crowd, but so far they haven't seen a goal. Long kick by Ravelli. Looks for Magnussen. Pierce. There's no doubt England have looked the more likely scorers. Good ball by Pearce to Beardsley, who had time to turn. Now Linacre's off through the middle again. And this is 10. Magnuson. Oof, that's given us a... No, Webb. Oh, he did well, Neil Webb. He wasn't favourite to win that, but here's McMahon. And the midfield belongs to England for the moment. Gary Stevens. Waddle. Stevens goes again. Peter Larson. 10. Now that's a bit dangerous. Magnuson with Walker going across. Ekstrom waiting in the centre. That shortens. Offside flags up. I suppose that is the danger, that with England enjoying so much of the game, if we leave anything open at all, Sweden are playing almost like the away team and might snatch something on the breakaway. Anyway, here's Glenn Hussein with the free kick for them. Magnuson. There goes Ekstrom. And there's the captain. Now Sweden's turn to push players into the England penalty area. Joachim Nielsen with the throw. Ten. Hooked in, but again, no challenge on the goalkeeper. A lot of blood around Terry Butcher's shirt. Look at that. It's been a really, really bad cut. Webb. And that's Linacre. And this is Barnes. Beardsley goes to his left. And so does Linacre. Beardsley in the centre now. Barnes again. Could have come out again to Gary Linacre. Butcher. Offside. 18 minutes gone in the second half. Sweden 0, England 0. But England can count themselves unfortunate not to be in front through Gary Lineker. But let's look at that. That's the man whose courage is holding England's defence together. Terry Butcher. Enquist. And the touch will test Butcher because it's Ekstrom. Butcher put his foot up. He did play the ball, but the referee, influenced, I think, by a loud shout from the crowd, has given an indirect free kick for dangerous play. Well, see what you think. I think that's fair enough from Butcher personally, but maybe I'm being biased. Free kick to Sweden, though. Awkward position this for England. Hussein is forward, well, so are most of them, actually. Tan is the player standing closest to the ball. Magnuson's there as well. Hussein's trying to get free. Here's Magnuson, and the block gives Waddle the chance to head clear for England. There's a bit of relief in the commentary box there, I can tell you. Here's Beardsley now. McMahon's made a terrific break from midfield. Waddle. And still Waddle. Offside would have been given anyway against Gary Lineker, but a chance, Trevor, for your thoughts on that Terry Butcher incident.
Very much a continental referee's decision. In those situations, they do tend to favour the attacker who's going with it with his head, and on that occasion Terry Butcher had it under control. Whether it, because of his head injury, he didn't try and deal with it himself, we don't know.
Here's Beardsley. Lineker. Lineker's shot. Well, there's space around now, and England have manoeuvred themselves into some good positions, notably Lineker. 20 minutes gone in the second half. It's still 0-0 here in Stockholm, but even a neutral would say that England have had the better of it.